Good evening, everyone. It's Nick from Claret and Booze, and I'm joined once more by Luke Bailey. It was only a few days ago. We was on a West Ham network together, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
How you?
memory now.
How you feeling, Luke? You all right?
I'm much better after that game yesterday. Fantastic.
Yeah, I know. It was a surprise, wasn't it? But obviously, we'll get into that in a minute. Got a few people in the chat. This was a very impromptu show. Northern Hammer, West Ham are massive. We're not far off. We're not far off. Hello, Kimbo and Dodsy. We were 1 minute late. No way. You're talking 15 minutes, half an hour there if you're making them comparisons, right? Yeah. So the show that we did on Friday. Well, look, a lot of the talk just recently has been quite sort of negative, isn't it? Understandably. Okay, it has been. It's not been great for a while. I think an awful lot of us were dreading the worst. I don't think we was expecting it. We were the favourites, weren't we? Yes, but we were the favourites in that game. So we would expect to win that. We had to win it. But do you know what? We did. We did win it. I know there's been. I've been going sort of back and forth on it because did you see I don't know if you saw my initial reaction, which I put out, which was one of, I kind of get caught up in the emotion of the game. So I was really happy after the game and I was really happy to see some good performances. But then what happened was I got some sort of negative comments back on my video, which made me think, did I watch the game right? So what I did was I watched the game again before we did the show last night. And it wasn't the best football in the world, but I do stand by what I said. I think the football was tatty at times. It was disjointed, but I think there were some good individual performances. A lot of them. There was a lot of good individual performances on the pitch, and I do think you've got to say probably Moyes did get it right because the one. We was all happy. I mean, how did you feel, first of all, at 4:30? How did you feel when you saw that lineup?
Relieved, actually. For me, I was a combination of relieved and what's the word when you start to respect someone again? Because I think I was before the game. I was adamant, including that video we done the other night, that Moyes was going to be predictable again, choose his favourites, all this stuff, just go with tried and tested, and just see if it finally works. But when he started Scamacca and Cornet, and yes, there's probably reasons why he went with that anyway, regardless. But I was like, do you know what? He's actually, whether he's done it because he thinks he has to do it, or whether he genuinely wanted to change, and he's had a couple of weeks to change his mind.
Yeah,
it was nice to see the players that we've all been saying, not just we want to see him, but we kind of need to see him because this team needs a revolving, change around of the players. So I was relieved and I was quite surprised, and I was like, what, fair play. He's actually done it. He's not been too stubborn, and he's gone with what the fans have been asking for.
Yeah. I think how should I say it? I think the football, because let's not beat about the bush. It was Moyes. It was a Moyes style game with new players, but they all seemed to buy into it, didn't they? And it did seem to work. I do think. I mean, what were your? Obviously, we'll get into the players a little bit, but what were your thoughts on Scamacca yesterday?
Honestly, I am overjoyed at the fact that he is clearly not just a target man. I've been saying it since I've seen videos of him when he was linked with us the first time round.
Yeah,
he gives me Arnautovic vibes.
Big time.
It's his movement. It's the fact that he's got skill on the ball, technical abilities there. He looks for a pass, which is why he set Bowen up for the run before he ended up scoring the goal.
Yeah.
He's got tons of strength and mobility and agility, and he can muscle out. He knew exactly how to handle the Wolves defenders yesterday when they were all over him. So I'm excited for how much better he can become, because that shows signs that he's like, right, well, this is my chance, probably to an extent, going, I'm not just going to wait for the ball to get to me, I'm going to run back, I'm going to try and get the ball and push things on and make things happen. So he's definitely not another Hilaire like people were worried that he was going to be turned into. He is, for me, he's the real deal. Look, Man City got Haaland, who runs about everywhere, but he's got a decent bit of technical ability about him.
Yeah.
And I think Antonio, as much as we love him, he's a beast of a bloke. He'll out-muscle defenders. He'll run till he's dead. But we all know he hasn't got the best technical ability in the world. But Scamacca seems to have what Antonio doesn't in that regard.
I,
And
I
that's not me
think I
putting
think you
down
could see
Antonio.
it. I think you could see the difference. It felt like we had a proper number 9 leading that line, and like you say, it weren't like he's just a conventional. He's a big guy, but he's not just a static striker, is he? The way he drops back, the way he links play, he's got a beautiful pass in him. He can see a pass. He makes good decisions. A lot of people might get frustrated with him because he does, as Garino said there, he's not afraid to shoot and he will hit the target. But do
I
you know,
like that, though,
do you know what
personally.
else? He believes in himself as well, because I said on the show last night, that free kick that he hit, I mean, that's probably still rising, but it didn't bother him, did it? It didn't bother him. He obviously
No.
he backs himself. He backs
Yeah.
himself. But
Confidence.
yeah. And Bowen, what were your thoughts on Bowen?
It was really great to see him A, get the goal, which I think was really well taken, and B, I think in the first half there was a few opportunities where he got the ball put through to him,
Yeah.
and he was like Messi. He was like getting past the ball players and dribbling past them, and he's like basically the old Bowen back. He was like
Yeah.
having the old Bowen back. He was full of confidence. He was going past players. He was getting in the right areas. Wasn't giving the ball away. Wasn't losing it. Wasn't scared to shoot. I don't know what's happened over this international break. And I don't know if it's because of the opposition we were against. No disrespect to Wolves at all.
Yeah.
They just seem to be in a bit of rut at the minute, and maybe it was the perfect time to play them. Perfect thing for us. It was a perfect antidote. But he, obviously, he's going to get into it further in a minute. But he looked like the old Bowen, and
He did.
He needed his confidence back.
How much of that do you attribute to the fact that he didn't have Soufal behind him and he had Kera instead? No. I'm not shooting down Soufal, but look, at the end of the day, there were a lot of underperforming players in that team. Soufal was the standout underperformer. He was the one that was, even statistically, you could just use your eyes. But if you went back and you look at the stats, his pass completion rate in a game was just, it was shocking. A lot of our play was breaking down through him. So do you think that Bowen could have suffered having a player in such poor form behind him?
Probably. It probably does leave a huge mark on a player's ability to, if they've had to do one role and, prospered so well in it, and suddenly they're asked to do a bit extra or something they've not really done before, or not quite good at, and they've got to do that a bit more than they would normally. It does hinder someone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start. I'm not on the coaching thing. I don't know what he's actually said to him. I can only go off what other people have said and what you kind of look at during the game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt it probably did, because for me, Kerr is a step up to probably every defender.
Absolutely,
right now
yeah.
In that back line. So having someone with Soufal on his day is a great defender, but he's not world class. Kera is world class, and that's the difference. That's what it gives you. So I wouldn't say it would have hindered him. So maybe it did. Maybe it did propel him up. Maybe it did, give him a boost that he needed.
Well, I think it's his passing range, isn't it? To have somebody on that. I was worried that we was going to miss him centrally, but I was also excited to get and I wanted to get Dawson back in there as well. And like I say, what a difference he made, didn't he, Dawson? Just having his presence there. I mean, did you see in the game when? Because I always sort of cringe when Traore comes on. I know he's shit. He's a shit player, but he always seems to sort of cause us problems, And it must have been within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, he's received the ball on the touchline, and Dawson's just gone through him. He just went through him.
I saw a video on Twitter, which I think I might have even retweeted. I'm not too sure yet, but there's 3 particular times where Traore has tried to go past Dawson, and he's not let him. He's got nowhere near him. And I think this is the 3rd time where he has 2 or 3 bites at him. Dawson's just so solid, stands him up, and then Traore even just shouts at him through frustration. But the interesting thing about when Traore come on is that you automatically think of Traore being a right winger, doesn't play anywhere else but the right wing, which would have meant he'd have been against Creswell. And I said to a mate who was behind me, he was saying as well, he said Creswell's going to get cooked. This is the worst thing for Creswell to have to deal with now. But then he had him on the left, and against Kera and Dawson. So if he'd have been the other side with Zuma and Creswell, which isn't the most paceful defenders to deal with that kind of player, it doesn't really make sense of why you would have him over that side, and it played into hands, if I'm honest. I think if he'd have been on the right wing, he'd have caused us more problems. But for what it is, you got to deal with the players as they're there. So he gave us no trouble. He highlights the lack of ability that he's actually got. He's a powerhouse, but that's pretty much all he is. I like him as a player, but you've got to really you have to coach the hell out of him to get anything out of him.
Yeah. And sort of going just briefly looking ahead to next week. I'm not talking about the European game because we'll be all right in Europe. The big one is the Fulham game because now it's no, it's the league that I'm most concerned about at the minute. If I'm honest, it's getting some consistency in the league, and Fulham, like Wolves, is a bit of a must-win game. The rumours are that Mitrovic is injured as well, so luckily he's not going to be playing. Is it important now? Because look, we know that Antonio was late flying back from Jamaica. It was a tap in for Moyes to kind of rest Antonio. Is there a risk that after that performance against Fulham, Antonio is going to be restored to that against Fulham?
I don't think it's a risk because even though Scamacca's played, right? Even
No,
Scamacca's played,
what I'm saying is there a risk that David Moyes could do that? Is what I'm saying. Do you think it could happen? Antonio could start.
I think he could because I think he'll use Scamacca as the Conference League striker,
and
it will sort of just temporarily revert back to the old.
But if he does that and it goes wrong, he's throwing himself under the bus, isn't he?
Yeah,
because he's got one win against a very poor Wolves team, but it was a good win. You can only beat what's in front of you. They had their centre back missing. They had bloody Neves playing at centre back, who Scamacca was targeting. Their best attacker went off Neto, which is kind of when they started losing that. Because you remember at the start of the game, they had loads of possession, didn't they?
They had two decent opportunities in the first 10 minutes to score against us. To be
fair. But then when Neto went off, that kind of died. So, it was a good performance. It was a good win. 2 great goals. Really gritty from a lot of the players, but you can't get past the fact that wasn't the best Wolves, and Wolves are not the best team in the Premier League that we're going to face. Going up against Fulham now, because I still think, I mean, we're not out of the mire yet. I think he's going to be. I think if he builds on this personally, and we go against Fulham, and it's important that he sticks with this now. I think he's kind of got to build on what he's just discovered. I think he's got to build on that. If he reverts back, Luke, if he takes Scamacca out and puts Antonio in, and we lose at home to Fulham, what are people going to say?
But they're going to say he hasn't learnt. They're going to say he's gone a bit arrogantly, maybe. He's gone a bit negative again, saying naively, and maybe arrogant as well. Look, yesterday Fulham lost 4-1. I haven't seen any of the game. I haven't seen any highlights. I've been a bit busy the other things. But they did get sending off earlier on with Chalobah getting sent off for him, and then looks like Newcastle just took him to the cleaners. So maybe if they hadn't got the sending off, it would have been a different perspective on their game.
Yeah.
But they'll have a bit of a confidence knock, because sometimes it's the worst thing in the world is to face a team that's just got slaughtered, because they'll be even more eager to get a result. In regards to the Thursday, it does have a massive knock-on effect for the league game, because you're going to have players that he can. This is not Moyes bashing. I'm praising him for what he did on Sunday, but what I'm saying is that it does give him an excuse on Thursday, depending on how easy the game is to play, because they're a better opposition than both the teams who've played in the Conference League, so far.
Yeah.
If we have a dreaded 3-2 loss or a 3-2 or something like that, where the players are knackered and they're getting injured and tackled, and you never know what's going to happen. It's a few days before the game, and he goes, right, well, on Thursday this happened, that happened, this player had this happened to him, or this player didn't play well, or something goes on. He's like, right, come Sunday, we're going to revert to what we know sort of doesn't work in his mind.
But then he's being a fool, because he's not out of the woods yet. He's not. If we get a couple of wins, I think if we get 2 wins, because they said he had 5 games, whatever. I don't think he had 5 games. I think yesterday was a sacking game, and as we know, whichever manager lost that game, in my mind, I think that was it. I think if David Moyes lost against that Wolves team and he didn't learn, I think that he would have been Bruno Lage today, and who we know he's been sacked. He got sacked after that game. So,
like I said the other night, I don't believe it was. Like you, I didn't really believe it was 4 or 5 games. That's maybe a bit too many, but I don't think it was yesterday. I think it was based on the performance on how we lost. Sometimes you can lose 1-0 and play well and be unlucky to lose, or sometimes you can lose 3-0, get battered, and it's a different context. The ironic thing about Bruno Lage getting sacked from Wolves today was the fact that yesterday didn't hear anything from the Wolves fans at all.
No.
Apart from your supporters And it was like, well, we've not heard anything from you all game. And then the other chant they done was, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Which was
according
obviously
to John, because I didn't go over there yesterday. John went over there, and on the show last night, he mentioned that they were giving him some stick at the end of the game. Apparently, when the players went over to their fans, the away support, all the Wolves fans were kind of applauding them, and then apparently Bruno went to walk over towards them, and they gave him a load of shit, and he turned around, changed his mind.
Oh, fair enough. But I left the game by that point. But during the game, he looked like a beat up man. His head was down. There was a couple of times where he was like, "Come on, guys, push up, put some pressure." But I don't know. Like I said, we also the other night, I said, well, sometimes players just know. They just know that the manager's going, or there's rumours. It's not an overnight decision. It will be something that's coming quite well. It's maybe the wrong time for Wolves to do it, or they just gave one more chance to see if there's anything coming from the players, and they didn't. So for us, it was like almost a little bit like we were watching ourselves. We were playing against ourselves, like previous selves, because Wolves did look how we've looked at times this season, and it was an easy victory in the end, really.
Yeah, no. Going back to the Scamacca starting at Fulham thing. I mean, this is John. As you know, John is, glass 3/4 full. That spills over into his when he sees time to buy a pint as well. He's always got half a pint left. He never buys a drink. It works for him that way. But he's no, he does. But he's saying if he don't, I might be Moyes out. But I that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, seriously, Luke, because if he, it would be stupid. I think for David Moyes now, it wouldn't be arrogant. I think it would be stupid for David Moyes after that performance from Scamacca, which is levels above anything that Antonio could possibly achieve playing for us in that. No, you think that Antonio could perform as well as that? Not as well as that as a striker, mate. He brought don't forget, Scamacca brought the best out in Bowen as well. He did. It was a partnership.
To an extent, there were other changes in the game apart from Scamacca.
It's amazing how many people, the different opinions that people have got on this. So,
right, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm totally agreeing with what you're saying. Actually, I'm not disagreeing with it at all. I'm saying there are other views. You've also said at times that Antonio works so hard for us and it doesn't deserve.
I love Antonio. I love Antonio. I never give him flack.
Yeah, but what I'm also saying is that if you next week, Scamacca, we didn't win yesterday just because Scamacca started. It was just part of the overall change and the overall focus by the system. Right?
If he hadn't been on that pitch, we wouldn't have won.
I'm not sure about that, but okay. He was a big part of it. Yeah. The other side of it is that if Antonio starts with the players, like Scamacca had the players like Kera right back, Dawson back in the team, Paqueta playing as almost like box to box at times. If you put Antonio in there as well, you might see him flourish.
I just think you're absolutely mad. Why would you? No, but if you're David Moyes now, Luke, honestly, tell me you're David Moyes. You've been under so much pressure. The ball have been coming out in this international break. They've been basically they've been turning the screw. All the messages that have been coming out through their usual sources came out before that game. He's got 4 to 5 games. All the players know, everyone knows, he's now under pressure. He's skating on thin ice. He made big changes that kind of pleased. Didn't go as extreme as what many wanted. Look, Souček played well yesterday, but I wasn't happy that he was starting. But he did play. He played well. Not a perfect performance. We know he can't pass the ball, but a lot of the other stuff that he did was brilliant. But why in that situation there, where you've just gone and you've had a great day, you've had the pressure taken off of you, would you even consider doing that? Because he was a man of the match for me, Scamacca yesterday. He actually was on the show that we did last night. It was out of him or Bowen, but he was the man. He was also our creativity as well, Luke, because what he was doing, our midfield were creating nothing. So Scamacca was dropping deep, no, but he was dropping deep and linking up play. That's what he was doing. Yeah, he was the one that was slipping. He was through who? Who was we creating through?
Through Paqueta and Rice. And also, if they chucked in, say for example, Kera coming a bit more central, we had Souček played well for once, right? They were playing little triangles amongst each other. It was some of the really, honestly, some of the
There
best
was some.
football I've seen from
There was
West
some.
Ham in
There was
2
some
years,
good football.
right?
There was some good football.
Scamacca was involved in some of that side at times, but those two were sort of linking. Those there was like a 3 or a 4 in the midfield at some points during the game, and the football they were playing in between each other. Wolves couldn't get nearest. The ball was like ticky tack. It was almost like Man City, like yesterday. Obviously, weren't anywhere near devastating, but the football was really good to watch. But I'm not saying if he takes him out, it all goes to pot, because if you put Antonio in the same, I'm not saying he's anywhere near Scamacca's level. I'm not saying, to me, Scamacca's potentially a world-class striker. That's why all the top clubs in Europe were after him, and are still after him probably. But I don't think. Also, for me, he had a 70-30 game yesterday. The stuff he done well, he done really well. He done amazingly well. He was world class with what he done. But then also there was a few clips of him which I've seen today, which are very true. And at the time, was he missed a shot right in front of the goal, which he should have scored.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a deflection at the time, but he tried to chip it over the goalkeeper. It didn't work out. There was the free kick. There's a couple of times where he gave the ball away or didn't run after it quite as much. So what I'm saying is that he's done amazing. I wouldn't say he's man of the match. For me, he wasn't man of the match. He was close to it, but he wasn't man of the match. I think up there would be between probably Kera, and possibly between Rice and Paqueta, because Paqueta, for me, was doing everything in that midfield. He was winning the ball back. He was getting into areas. He was doing the skills, plus passing, setting players up.
See again. I think Paqueta worked really hard. I think he did well. But mate, I think it left a lot to be desired there. He was still getting caught in possession. He was hitting the deck every 2 fucking minutes as well. Not as bad as Cornet.
Potentially Dawson was man of the match, because nothing got past him. We kept the clean sheet. He overshadowed.
I think out of that midfield three, out of Rice, Paqueta, and Soucek was probably the better of the three. Out of the three of them, I'm not saying he was the most creative, but in terms of the work that he did, I think in terms of because what Soucek did in that game, not so much in the first half, he kept on. He was making runs down the right wing, didn't he? I don't know why he was doing that, but. In the second half in particular, what he was doing was he was just doing his usual sort of destroyer job, and he was really effective with it. And like I say, as everyone knows, I'm not Soucek's biggest fan. I'm far from it, but I will recognise when he has a good job, and I almost felt sorry for him a little bit as well when there was one moment, because he was kind of having a good game, and he did do a sloppy pass, and you saw his face. It's like his heart sank.
He was feeling the pressure.
He was like, "Oh fuck, I've done it again." Well, yeah. So
for his lack of technical ability, that was the best technical game I've ever seen him have. Winning times, passing it around, actually moving about and getting the ball back. It's like I said, Wolves weren't particularly on their game, but you've only got to play who's in front of you. Do you know what I mean? So
this is a good point, okay? Because I don't buy. This a Traore and baby oil thing. It can't just be if people grab him, can it? Is that what it is?
Well, it's half of it is that. I reckon half of it is to look good. But he's on Instagram, the old light shines off.
Looks ridiculous, doesn't
it? But then when you think about it, you're thinking how many people do get hold of him? Because it does work. The problem is the geezer can't do anything with his feet. He's a little bit like Antonio in that regard. He'll get through and he'll do hard work.
I think Antonio's a far better player. I've got to be honest.
He is all round far better player. But I'm saying is that if he could sort his feet out and have a consistent run, he'd have that body, have the power. He'd also be able to do something with it, and he'd be if just a side note, if Traore could actually have technical ability, he'd probably be at one of the big clubs, i.e. Barcelona.
That's where he started out, wasn't it? At Barca. Hopefully it's from Craven. Hopefully by dropping Soufal, it'll give him a big kick up the arse. Mate, I've got to be honest, Craven. I didn't rate Soufal in particular when he first came in. I've never really rated him. I like him as a player. No, I didn't, Luke. And same with Soucek. So honestly, mate, same with Soucek. I've had this battle with a pair of them since they've come in. I've liked them as players, but mate, I've always thought they have got limited technical ability, and they both have. Both players have got limited technical ability. I mean, Soufal he plays as a right winger. He couldn't cross a fucking road, mate. He's
He used to be one of the best crossers that we had.
Mate, his crossings are awful. His passing's bad. What people like about him and what I like about them, when they came into West Ham, they were the right players at the right time. You know, we were bottom of the running stats. And then all of a sudden these two warriors came in, which they are. They're all heart. They're all heart, and they give everything, and they kind of set the tone at West Ham. They were really important. But do you know what? We've outgrown them, mate. Soufal's never going to be our long-term right back. It ain't going to happen.
No, I agree with that. I'm saying when they first turned up, you didn't like them.
No, not that I didn't like them, didn't rate them.
Right.
No,
Soufal to me was the main crosser. That's all our stuff was coming from the right or
yeah.
left of press. Ping it in. He'd either have Soucek or Antonio heading it in.
Always had limitations, mate. I've never seen him once stop a cross coming in from the wing defensively either.
I'll give you that. Yeah, I agree with that.
He don't, even defensively. So what he is, you've got Johnson who's better defensively. Johnson who's better defensively. I don't know. I don't really know. I suppose you might have Ashby who's better going forward, and then you got Soufal who's almost a little bit of a jack of all trades in the middle. He does a bit of both, but not really great at either. But yeah, like I say, I'm not digging him out too much, but I'm glad. I'm so fucking glad he was out of the team because for his own good, Luke. For his own good,
yeah,
because
no, I agree. Yeah.
and I've said this before about Moyes. Moyes seems to keep on playing the same players when they're out of form, like what Southgate's doing with Maguire. Sometimes you've got to save these players from themselves. Fucking take him out of the team. Let them, or do you just play them until the fans hate them? Do you know what I mean? What do you do? Because that's what can happen.
Well, to me, it was a little bit like that yesterday. In fact, I think Soucek sort of knows his number at West Ham in a minute, and I think he thought, well, do you know what, he has to play, but if you're going to play, you got to play up, you got to play well,
yeah.
you got to show that me selecting you is justified. And I was surprised that Soufal's not his mate. Soufal's not Moyes' mate. He's not his golden boy. Soucek's the golden boy. He just happens to be Soucek's mate.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised. If you're going to take Soufal out, you might as well take Soucek out as well. But because he can't do the two, that'd be asking for far too much.
Yeah.
But if he'd have put Downs in there, that for me would have been perfect change around, because it would have meant that we know he's totally going, do you know what, Soucek, you are droppable. You are.
Yeah.
Because there are players that can play at that level. So I am surprised that you didn't rate him when they first come in, to be fair. Because during the 2021 season, the year we qualified for the Europa League in the first place, he was the best right back, one of the best right backs in the league for me. Going forward, he was. I couldn't believe we got him. And at 28, I thought he ain't going to be a defender for the next 5 years. If he's the defender for the next 2 or 3 years, then great. I'm surprised at that. I didn't know you rate him at all.
No, not rate at all. This is what I'm saying to you. What I've always had my reservations about Soucek and Soufal. I've had long-term debates over these two. But yeah, it's not, you can't hate them or dislike them. They're everything that everyone loves about footballers in terms of their style of play and their character. But I don't know. You just technically, I think we paid about the right money for them personally.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So, Mr. Mace, massive 3 points, but let's not pretend it solves what's been going wrong. Still a boring and average team. See where we... Yes, look, I'll be honest with you. I completely agree. We had this debate, a really heated debate on last night's show. And John... Yeah, but John was of the opinion that when we were talking about football style and everything else, and I said the same thing. I said we win ugly. It's not pretty, and that's what a lot of West Ham fans want. And he's like, well, look, we're not Man City. And a lot of players, it ain't just John, a lot of people say that, we're not Man City, we haven't got the riches of teams like that. You can't go out and do that. As if to say, the only way, unless you're Man City, the only way you can actually play football and exist is by being defensive and playing counter-attacking football. And then I said, well, what about Brentford? What about Brighton? What about Fulham?
Leeds are normally quite a good second team this year.
It's what I'm saying to you. What about Leeds? And what I'm saying is, it's all down to how teams are coached. I mean, how can Brighton keep doing what they're fucking doing? I mean, they haven't got Potter now, and it doesn't. Even before Potter, they was a decent team, weren't they?
Yeah, they were very decent. That's. I must admit, watching the game yesterday, I think the first 20 minutes, I was like, this it's different players, but it's the same system. I'm still waiting for us to sort of push on a little bit. I think it's almost a part. I think during the midway through the first half, or because I missed the goals, went to the toilet. That's how typical my day was yesterday.
Yeah.
There was a part, I think, where the fans we were passing it around the back a little bit, and fans were like, "This is Wolves. get your act together.
Yeah.
You've got to go and score. You've got to go and push and press these players. And it wasn't the most. I wasn't expecting the most overwhelming game in the world, to be honest with you. I did have my reservations, but even though you can change all the players in the world, but if you're going to change your approach to the game and the system, that takes a hell of a lot more, and it asks a hell of a lot more of the players than they're used to, especially the way they've started the season. But some of the football at times, I was like, do you know what? If we're not going to attack for 90 minutes solid, I'll take this, because the football yesterday sometimes was just. It was lovely. It was really nice to watch, really satisfying to watch. And I thought, do you know what? If this is the start,
you thought the football yesterday was nice to watch.
At times,
it just depends what you're looking for in a game, mate. I think it does, and I'm not saying you're wrong.
The flicks and tricks from Paqueta and passing through to the one-touch passing in the middle at times was I was amazed.
I think the back bit was good. I think the top bit was good. But it was pretty much hoofball, mate. In my opinion, the majority of the game, especially at the start, it was basically he was what's his name, Scamacca, was dropping deep, and it was a little bit route one to Scamacca. He was dropping deep, winning the ball against the attackers and linking play. A lot of the time, all that Rice because Rice, who didn't have his best game yesterday, and Soucek, they were kind of and Paqueta. They were almost like a defensive shield. That's what they were for most of the game. Yes, they did get forward at times. There was interchanging, but we didn't progress the ball through the team like what a footballing team does. We get the ball back, we sit deep, we're strong, we win it, we get it fucking forward to the target, man.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Right?
Yeah.
Football would like I'm trying to get across. Maybe I'm not using the right words, or I'm not saying it properly, right? But the times that we did play well, even if it was very little, but I know for a fact that I saw it, and I know there was a few cheers from the crowd. It was nice to watch. Stuff. I'm not saying there was cheering. It's like watching Brazil, but it was nice to watch. That is like, to me, that's like a seed. Like, if we can play like that, that shows that we can, and that'll grow. And then it will start to become more and more like that as more games progress. Because to expect, in my opinion, it's like I said, the selection might be different, but to expect a completely different attitude to the game and an approach and a system, for me, would be too much to ask at such short notice. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. To be going, if we're playing tiki-taka, spreading balls to the wing, then put it into the midfield, then put it direct through to the forward, if like that would be amazing to watch. But that's not going to happen overnight. That's not going to happen with, especially being the fact that Moyes is going, right, you know what, if we play like that, I've got more chance of losing this game and my job. So I'm going to play here and there.
I get that, mate. I get that. I know. It's I know it's going to be. Listen, if the one thing that's important to me for David Moyes was that I was starting to see change. Okay, the football was the same yesterday. That was David Moyes' football, but it was a different team. He made changes, so that for me is change enough to not be as look. I'm still not changing my stance yet on Moyes out. Because I'm not, otherwise I'll just be called a fickle bastard, left, right, and centre, and that would make me fickle. I kind of, and I am there. I still think that's bought David Moyes time for me, but I need to see a win against Fulham, or at least need to see something more against Fulham. He's got to build on this, because I said last night on the channel, I did a show on it after the Spurs game. I felt like I did after the Wolves game after Spurs. I thought, yes, that's it. As season has started, As season has started, I felt like it once before the season already. I'm not going to get carried away. I want to see us build on it. And like people are saying there in the chat, if he, heaven forbid, he makes that sort of terrible mistake and it would be, mate, with the fan base, it would be catastrophic for David Moyes if he dropped Scamacca and we lost that game. It'd be toast, mate. I'm telling you, he would be.
I'm not going to turn this into an Anderlecht preview in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is that you've got 2 games coming up and you've got 2 strikers, right? So we all know
Antonio against Anderlecht.
That's right. That's answers the question. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Antonio against Anderlecht.
I wouldn't say no to that.
All day long.
It works.
This one here, mate. Look, John Osborne. I hope we can move heaven and earth to keep Dawson beyond this season. Well, it's not even this season. There's talk of him going in January, isn't there? But he is really important to us, mate, isn't he? Isn't that crazy? He cost us $2 million. He was when he wasn't even a regular in the Watford team, was he? I don't think he was.
I think he was maybe in his last season he was a bit part. I think he maybe knew that he wasn't gonna be a regular in that team. Or maybe just didn't want to. Maybe just thought I'd take any Premier League job that comes my way. Because I want to stay in the Premier League. This is the thing that I say to some people, and it's quite funny because West Ham's always tend to do things that make it hard for ourselves. There's nothing wrong with going into the free transfer market, right? He was more or less a free transfer because we got him on loan and he paid a couple of £1 million for him, which you know, in modern football terms is is less than peanuts. For what he's produced, you can always find a bargain in certain areas, and it just so happens to be that when David Sullivan used to get his hands on the transfer kitty and go to the free agents market, he'd buy the crap. He wouldn't go and scout a bloke who's been playing really, really well in the Italian league for 5 years, who's just coming to his contracts and get him. He'd go and get a guy that has been on subs bench for the Italian league for 5 years that can't get into a certain team, and he's free. He's on cheap wages. So all he's done, what we've basically done with Dawson, he's done it the right way. We've got a player that was available, that was part of it's not a Roger the Relegator, but he was part of a relegated team, and you could get him. Do you know what? So, we give him a platform. But again, the most incredible thing about his situation is the fact that he wasn't brought in as anyone significant. He was brought in to be, if we need you, can you play?
Exactly, mate. I know.
Potentially, games against
it's got to be the best $2 million ever spent. It has,
especially for us.
I know. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to slam the brakes on because I'm going to do a little test, everyone. I did mention on our anniversary show that we're looking at introducing a new type of show. So I know that not everyone wants to come and get their mug on the screen. You know, I didn't before COVID and Teams meetings. I didn't like doing it. So I've started doing this and I'm all right, but I can understand why people don't want to come on camera. So what we're going to start introducing over the next few weeks is, for certain, maybe after games and stuff like that, is a phone-in show, TalkSport style. So we're going to do a test bed. So I've got a new bit of kit. All right. So we're going to get John in to talk about the Scamacca thing. So let's see if it works. So bear with me, please. Right. Let's give it a go. Right, well, that was a bad test. Hang on, where are we? I've lost the bloody connection to it. Right, well, that didn't work very well, did it? Carry on talking, Luke. Save me. Go on.
Well, I must admit, there is a comment I've just seen down here.
Go on.
It's from Mr. Bass. Is Luke on his lunch break in a call centre? Can I put the gas engineer in here? I'm actually on a break from British Airways, mate. So I'm on a wrong flight to the Algarve. Let me know. But yeah.
Right. Okay. I think we're all good again. Let's try now. See if she works. There we go.
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
Can we hear John? Can you hear John?
Yeah, I'm here.
You can't, can you?
Who?
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I can hear him loud and clear.
Oh, you can't, can you?
Yeah, I can. I'm genuinely.
Can you hear me or what?
Why can't I hear it?
I can hear. Can you hear me or what? That's
I
what
don't want you to hear me, mate.
He doesn't want you to hear him.
It keeps working well.
Go on, talk to John for a minute. I'm going to sort this out my end.
John, come on, mate. What's your...
I can't hear Luke. I could just hear me.
Can hear me? I can hear him. He can't hear me. He can hear you, Nick. I think he can hear you. He can't hear me. So talk, Nick. Talk.
Right, okay, I am sorry, everyone. Bear with us because we've got a new bit of kit that we've invested for the show, and I should.
Amateur hour.
It is amateur hour. Right.
We can all hear each other.
Hello, John.
Hello,
John. I can hear you now.
No.
And I can hear you, mate.
Fantastic. Right, Luke. Can you hear us?
I can hear you both.
Right, fantastic. Okay, well, look, let's do the interview then. Me and you first. Right. So yeah, like I was saying to everyone. So this is what we're doing. So. In upcoming shows, we're going to do a like a talk sport style phone in. We'll put a number up on screen, and then if people do want to phone in and vent and give their opinion and stuff like that, we'll be doing that in the coming weeks. What format we do it in, I'm not too sure. And like I say, it'll be a bit smoother next time. This is the first time I've used this kit. Got a new toy. I had to try and use it, but probably should have read the instructions first, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
But going back to your comment earlier on, John, about Scamacca, I know it was probably tongue in cheek what you said there, where we were talking about Scamacca and if Moyes didn't start him against Fulham. You made a comment saying, and you are like you're the polar opposite of Moyes out, but you said I think I'd be airing on Moyes out if he did that, if he didn't start him.
No, I think, look, I've always understood that it's all about results, it's all about performances. I get that football hasn't been great, etc., etc. But when you have a performance from Scamacca that we saw the other day, and yes, it was only against Wolves, we know who aren't playing well at the minute, but I can't see for the life of me why you wouldn't persist with him after that performance.
No.
So for me, I know Luke said that he could see Scamacca being brought back in for the Conference League and sort of reverting to type. But for me, it would be ridiculous to not start Scamacca against Fulham. He's got his confidence, he's got his goal in the Premier League. I just think it would be insane. I wouldn't be Moyes out, but it would make me think, bloody hell, Dave, not another blunder.
Yeah, no.
And I agree with Luke. He has got an air of Arnautovic about him. He has got an air of Di Canio about him. I said it yesterday and people laughed, and I know he's not a legend. Nowhere near that yet, obviously, after a few games, but there's something about him. There's something different about him, and I just, apart from being a sexy-looking geezer, he's a fantastic player as well.
He is, mate. He certainly is. But no, that's fine. I mean, sort of the day after now. I mean, obviously you was okay yesterday, but how do you feel now? How do you feel that's kind of affected? Let's just ponder on the facts, whether you believed it or not, that David Moyes had 5 games. He's got the best possible start. Do you think he's in Fulham now? He must kind of try and pick up that momentum, mustn't he? Going into Fulham, especially because
it's all about momentum, isn't it? It's all about momentum, and he's not an idiot. He's been in the game long enough. He's done 1,000 games now as a manager. He knows he doesn't want the fans on his back, as much as sometimes his decisions make you think he maybe doesn't care what people think, but he knows that he was getting closer to possibly being given the bullet. I don't think he, because of the way the club's run, rightly or wrongly, I don't think we would have sacked him any time before January anyway.
No.
I would have been surprised, if I'm totally honest with you, because the league's so condensed. After the first top few teams, it's so condensed, and it always will be. I just think he needs to continue with the momentum. It'll just create a better buzz around the place. The fans will be happier. The players will be smiling again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the interview after the game. Did you see the interview?
Well, I saw the interview with Bowen and Scamacca after the game.
Yeah, people have been suggesting that there's some sort of divide, and people have been suggesting, I don't know who said it yesterday, Michael said, when he celebrated, no one ran over to him.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I just think it's a nonsense. It's a nonsense.
Yeah,
but it's a nonsense. People just like to read into things, and if you saw that interview yesterday, you can see already, even with his broken English, that he comes across as a good guy, and I want to see more of him, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. But look, he deserves to play against Fulham, and like I say, look, Moyes desperately needed a win yesterday. He did, the team did, but he did especially. I think he'd be foolish to not trust in those players again, wouldn't he?
100%, mate, 100%. Can I just say why? How comes Luke's on screen and I'm on the phone? Is it because Luke's better looking than me?
It's because you was round your mum's poncing a free dinner again. That's why. But okay, mate, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to have to figure out how all this works, because I can either talk to you or talk to Luke. I can't do both together at the moment, but I will fix that for the next one. So thank you very much for doing that, mate.
That's all right, mate. No worries, and speak to you later on. See you later, Luke. Take care. Good luck. Bye.
Right, 2 minutes, Luke. I've now got to change my headphone port again.
Right. So you just keep talking in here.
Oh dear.
Okay. I can do it. That's fine. I actually feel like I felt then like I was on Talk Sport. The only thing is I'm not with an articulate Simon Jordan who's going to wind me up, or a brain Jamie O'Hara who just comes out with waffle to try and get more listeners in. I also feel like I should get paid. Actually,
you should. You
We all
should, but
should. We you know, I'm lagging a little bit this side. You warn me about that anyway. So,
yeah,
um, it's that is very good actually.
this
It's nice to know that anyone can just ring up
well, this
and
is
talk
the
to you
thing.
for
Not
opinion.
look, not
It
everyone,
gets shut down by you at the same time as soon as they do open their
but
mouths.
not everyone wants to put their face on the screen. They don't, you know. And like I say, I didn't. You know, a couple of years ago, there's no way I'd have done anything like this. But after
I didn't
starting this
actually, and
channel and COVID,
must
I
admit,
was forced into it, and then yeah. So I get it. I get why people don't like doing it.
little story for you. I never wanted to do any of this YouTube stuff. I wasn't confident enough to do it. I started doing the West Ham Network with Anton. Anton gave me the confidence and got me on. So for anyone who feels like they can't do it, you absolutely can. If I can do it, then Joe Blogs can do it. I'm seeing now it's easy, and it's almost like talking to your mates down the pub.
I'll tell you what, and that's the worrying thing. You don't forget you're on screen because you're looking at a screen, but you forget that you're being watched by people because you end up. It's like the one last night was just chaotic, mate. That was just it was like a row. We were just having a row on the screen.
It's always like how you look.
I know, I know. But right, I'm just gonna start whizzing through some comments again. We've got quite a few, but so look, let's fast forward then. So against. I'm not going to talk about Anderlecht. We'll talk about because Fulham is the one. We'll do another show about Anderlecht later in the week. But Fulham for me, what do you reckon on that game? Can you see us getting a result that we need? Do you think he will, or do you think it does, or would you not be surprised if Moyes was to not lose? Look, if he puts out the same team and we lose and it just doesn't work, that'd be fine. But I just don't know. The way I feel, I've still got no confidence in him. And I wouldn't put it past him. Like you just said I wouldn't be surprised if he dropped Scamacca for Antonio. And that, for me, that's just sending the wrong fucking message if he does things like that. It really is.
It's now giving him the opportunity to grow again as a manager, like he says he's done in the last few years. Honestly, like I said, team selection wise, this European game has come at the worst time because it means that he can have the excuse of playing certain players on the Thursday and then play the rested ones on the Sunday. But then again, he might do what he done with Downs, which is not play him in any of the games, and got certain players who will play both games, others won't play both games, and it'll just be a mix and match. Fulham are. What
about that from Guarino, Luke? Because don't forget, Antonio isn't a striker. He never was. Why couldn't he go back to the wing again?
I've been saying it for not just me. There's probably a good lot of West Ham fans are saying it, that he is naturally a winger. I know he made Arnautovic into our main striker, but Arnautovic had technical ability, which meant he could stay as a striker and probably wanted to stay as a striker. But you can tell when Antonio plays on the pitch, he wanders off to the wing. That's his natural position. That's where he's used to be. And even if someone locked him to a train to the centre of that pitch, hi Claire, he would try as much as he can, just through brain functionality, would just go, I'm on the wing, I'm on the wing, I'm on the wing.
Yeah.
So if we bought another striker in January, that would probably give the opportunity. But I don't think he would do that. Even if he could, I don't think he would.
Well,
I'm not sure if Antonio wants to go on the wing again. He might not. He might say he doesn't want to, but he naturally will flow that way. So if we go there anyway, mate, we'll just stay on that.
But I think Bowen, the way he played yesterday, he wasn't a conventional winger. He was like a second attacker. So we've got another player there that can do that. So we've got options.
Well, this is the thing about formations, especially modern formations, is the fact you'll start with one formation, but you can easily manoeuvre it and change and do have an interchangeable. No one sort of stays a right winger. No one sort of stays an attacking midfielder. No one sort of stays a striker. You can do anything. You can swap it interchangeable. So that's it's another opportunity for Moyes to grow as a manager and start making changes. You know.
Yeah, Black Country's agreeing with you, saying Dawson man of the match.
Yeah.
There you go. So
I didn't say he wasn't man of the match. He could have been man of the match, but I totally agree with people.
But yeah, I think he was important. I think he really gave us. I mean, like Kehrer, I think Kehrer had a good game, really good. I think he's class. I'm not going to criticise him, but the only you're not going to knock it out of his game. He loves a tackle. He dives into a tackle. And their best chance of the game early on was down to him just fucking flying in. It was quite idiotic, that challenge, to be quite honest. He come flying in, and was it Mateus Nunes, isn't it? The one that we nearly signed. Is it Nunes? He he sort of jinked inside and he completely and utterly sliced the shot, didn't he? But
yeah, I have to back at the highlights for that. But yeah, I don't know what you're getting at.
Oh, look, apparently, Gio said when Soucek reacted like that, this must be related to what I was saying earlier on when Soucek misplaced that pass. The fans reacted by giving him a round of applause, as he did have a good game. Did you say that? I'd like to think that was the case.
There's pockets of things that happened at the time. I probably did realise it, but now it's not as prevalent in my memory. But the fans overall were betting with him yesterday because I think that they could see that he was trying to be better, and I think you could sometimes in a play you can see that they're under pressure with their body language, that they don't really want the ball. As soon as they get it, they want to pass it out because the longer they're on the ball, the longer they panic and they get flustered and they make bad decisions. But yesterday, I think people could tell that if he's going to play well, and he started the game really well, and he went on from there.
Mr. Mace, I went shopping covered in baby oil and got banned from Asda for 5 years. One rule for Traore. Yeah, I know, mate. It's not fair, is it? It's not fair. But yeah, like I was saying, let me know. I'm just going to kind of work through these comments now, but let us know. I don't know how that came out, that call, but let us know in the chat if you like the idea of a show like that, of a phone-in show. And like I say, it's coming anyway, so we shall see. But yeah,
I did see one comment that said that I was on echo, so that's why I muted my headphones.
Oh, really? Yeah, we'll get it right. But look, listen, if I was a professional, I would have done a test bed offline. But I got a new toy today, and I wanted to use it. I thought, look, sod it, I'll just go live and use all you lot as guinea pigs. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so what we got here? So Moyes is still under pressure regardless of yesterday's game. He certainly is. Ashby, so much better than Soufal. I think as a wing back, he certainly is. You know, is he fit? Ashby yet? Do we know? Yeah. What's this?
Is there any under 23 games coming up that you could be playing in?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I'm not too sure. But where are we with the show anyway? Look, we're almost there. So look, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap this up because I've got an early start tomorrow. So this was a bit of a test show. So it is a shorter than usual. This is a shorter than usual Sunday night show. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me, Luke.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
And yeah, I'm sorry I haven't had time to sort of go through all of your comments and everything else, but I will read them all after. Yeah, so brilliant. Thanks very much. And yeah, we'll be back later in the week. And our new chat show, we might do it. Like I say, we might challenge TalkSport. We'll go after the game. We'll do a phone-in show.
Ain't going to take much, is it?
No.
Jim White's up hosting mornings. So.
That's it.
There's other jobs out there.
I know. But anyway, thank you very much, people, and I will speak to you soon. Lovely stuff. Come on, you irons.